Welcome to Golden Rule Wisdom, where we explore the deepest truths of human existence through stories that heal the weary soul. Meet Karan, a young man blessed with physical strength, yet he walks through life as if carrying an invisible, heavy mountain. His eyes do not reflect the joy of youth, but rather a deep, ancient weariness that seems to crush his spirit. While others around him laugh and enjoy the sunlight, Karan feels a constant shadow following his every step, darkening his world. The source of his burden was not physical labor, but a habit he had formed deep within his sensitive, fragile mind. Whenever someone criticized him or spoke harsh words, Karan did not let the moment pass. He held on to the pain tightly. He visualized every insult and every negative comment as a jagged stone, which he deliberately picked up from the dusty ground. Instead of ignoring the negativity, he chose to store these heavy stones in a large, invisible sack he carried everywhere. He remembered a friend who mocked his dreams years ago, and for that memory, he added a heavy stone to his bag. He remembered a teacher who once called him slow, and for that old grudge, another stone went into the heavy sack. Day by day, the collection of grievances grew larger, and the weight on his shoulders began to affect his physical posture. Simple tasks became exhausting because he was not just moving his body, but dragging years of accumulated anger and resentment. Even during moments of rest, the burden remained with him, a constant reminder of every person who had ever wronged him. Sleep would not come easily, for his mind was busy counting the stones, replaying the insults over and over again nightly. The voices of his critics echoed loudly in the silence of the night, robbing him of the peace he desperately needed. The burden was stealing his youth, turning a vibrant young man into a bitter soul who saw enemies in every corner. Desperate for relief, Karan decided to climb a high mountain, hoping the fresh air would clear the fog in his mind. But the climb was torture, as every step upward required double the effort due to the invisible load he refused to drop. He watched with envy as older people passed him effortlessly, their steps light and joyful, while he gasped for every breath. He blamed the steep path, the hot sun, and his shoes, never realizing that the problem was the sack on his back. The bag was filled with stones of he said this and she did that, a collection of past moments long gone. As he climbed higher, the sky turned grey, mirroring the storm of resentment that brewed constantly within his tired, heavy heart. Strangely, he was terrified of losing even one grievance, guarding his pain as if it were a precious treasure of gold. Through the haze of his exhaustion, he saw a figure approaching from above, moving with the grace of flowing water. It was an old merchant, his face lined with age, but his eyes shining with a youthful and vibrant energy. The old man carried a large basket of goods for trade, yet he moved as if gravity had no hold on him. Karan's legs finally gave way, and he collapsed on the path, gasping for air, defeated by the weight of his own mind. The merchant paused, his expression full of compassion, and offered the young man a cool drink of water from his flask. After quenching his thirst, Karan looked at the old man and asked the question that had been burning in his mind. He asked, "Sir, you are old and carry a heavy basket, yet you walk like a bird. Why am I so exhausted?" The merchant smiled gently and said, "I only carry goods to sell. You, my son, are carrying a graveyard of memories." Karan looked confused, for he saw no bag on his back, only feeling the crushing weight that he had grown used to. The wise man continued, "You collect every harsh word thrown at you, keeping them warm in your heart like precious stones." He explained, "Think of the people who insulted you. They threw their words and walked away, forgetting the incident instantly. But you, instead of leaving the stone on the ground, ran to pick it up and placed it in your sack. They are not suffering right now. They are sleeping soundly. It is only you who is crushed by the weight of their actions. The words struck Karan like a lightning bolt, shattering the illusion he had lived in for so many painful, wasted years. He realized that his reaction was indeed his burden, and he had been volunteering to carry the emotional trash of others. He saw how he had spent hours, days, and weeks being angry at people who probably didn't even remember his name. The merchant asked softly, "Is the stone of their insult worth more than the gold of your own inner peace?" Tears streamed down Karan's face as he shook his head, finally understanding the foolishness of his self-imposed suffering. With trembling hands, he reached into his imagination and decided to open the sack he had kept sealed for so long. He pulled out a black, ugly stone, representing the anger he felt towards his childhood friend who had mocked him. He looked at it one last time, realized it was useless, and threw it far into the deep valley below. Immediately, a small weight lifted from his shoulders, and he took his first, truly deep breath in a very long time. Encouraged by the feeling, he began grabbing stones of resentment, jealousy, and hurt, tossing them away one by one. He watched as the heavy rocks of his past crashed against the mountainside and shattered into harmless dust. With every stone he discarded, the darkness in his eyes faded, replaced by the bright light of the present moment. The old merchant watched with a smile, knowing that another soul had been liberated from the prison of the mind. Finally, Karan threw the last stone, the one he had held longest, and the invisible sack hung loose and empty. He stood up straight, his spine no longer curved by the weight, feeling lighter than a feather in the wind. Suddenly, the world around him changed. The grey sky turned blue, and he could hear the sweet songs of birds. He turned to thank the merchant, but the old man was already walking away, continuing his journey with a light step. Karan resumed his climb, but this time he flew up the path, his energy boundless, his heart singing with joy. He reached the summit and looked out at the vast world, realizing he had been carrying a prison on his back. The wind felt cool against his skin, no longer blocked by the heavy burden of past insults and old emotional wounds. He understood now that people will always throw stones, but he has the power to let them pass through him. He sat in silence, enjoying the company of his own peaceful mind, which was no longer a battlefield of voices. The difference between his misery and his joy was not a change in the world, but a change in his carrying. As he descended, he saw another young man struggling up the path, carrying the heavy, invisible weight of the world. Karan smiled, seeing his past self, and prepared to share the secret that had set his heavy soul free. Remember, my friends, you cannot control how others treat you, but you have absolute power over what you carry. When you refuse to pick up the stone of offense, the anger transforms into understanding, and the weight becomes wisdom. Walk through life with a light step, leaving the stones where they fall, and keep your heart open and free. Peace begins the very moment you decide not to let another person's behavior dictate your internal state of happiness. Drop the heavy ego that demands to be right, and pick up the lightness of spirit that chooses to be happy. The universe is vast and full of beauty. Do not waste your precious time collecting rocks that only weigh you down. Forgiveness is not a gift you give to the person who hurt you. It is a gift you give to yourself. Karan returned to his life, not as a victim of circumstances, but as the master of his own inner world. Today is a chance for you to empty your sack. Look at what you are carrying and ask, is this necessary? If the answer is no, then let it go. Drop it right now and feel the immediate relief in your soul. Life is too short, and the journey is too beautiful to be spent hauling around a backpack full of heavy regrets. If this story lightened your load today, please share it with someone else who might be carrying a heavy burden. Join our community at Golden Rule Wisdom for more stories that bring light to the shadows of our daily lives. Thank you for watching and walking this path with us. Stay light, stay wise, and see you in the next video.